This is today's journal, and I'm Vicky Branton, substituting for our guest today, Susan Meredith. We just wanted to visit with Susan because a lot of you may not know the diverse background that Susan brings to the show. She visits with people from all over the United States, all over the world, because you visited with people from even Australia. But she has also been a world traveler and done a little performing of her own. And those of you who are just tuning into the show may not be aware of her background. Susan, how did you stumble into Channel 39 and get this illustrious position as talk show host?
Wow, illustrious. Well, stumble is the key word here because actually the Lord brought me into this, and a lot of people have asked me what did bring me here, and it really goes back quite a ways. I performed about 14 years on the road in secular music, and this was before I got to know the Lord. You know,
was that country music?
Well, it was crossover country. My daddy was a big band musician, and so I kind of learned a variety of things, and mostly what I was interested in at that time was jazz and blues and show music, and I did that the whole time I was growing up. I did a lot of plays and musicals and that kind of thing, you know, so I did all those pizzazzy kind of songs. But as I got a little farther down the road, and I was married very young, too young, and had so many kids, so I'd sing around the house, and I got into Barbra Streisand stuff and Carly Simon, and I was really doing the pop thing, but really not professionally. I was too busy changing diapers, you know, so I really had to kind of lay my music aside and ended up doing just the practicing, I guess, at home, and you yell at kids long enough, you get real good lungs, you know, for singing. And but anyway, I was not a Christian, and all that to say, I ended up at one point in my life, I was divorced, and I ended up at one point in my life really wanting to do something with my music and not knowing what to do, so I sold real estate, and I had somebody come and hear me one night. I was just by chance getting up and singing in a nightclub, and a friend of mine asked me to sing, and I did, and I was discovered. And
well, now, who was it that discovered you at that particular time? Was it the Whispering Bill Anderson? Because you toured with him for quite a while, didn't you?
4 years, I did. No, it wasn't him that discovered me. It was a wonderful Georgia hillbilly. He called himself one of the most brilliant hillbillies I ever met, that put me out on the road. He got me a limousine, and it was not as racy as you think. You know, a limousine pulling a U-Haul is good for a laugh, you know. So we were on the road for a long time, and but I traveled all over the United States at that time. And then I met Whispering Bill, and got to ride in the big Silver Eagle with all of the Po folks, and did all my singing there. But I was so unsettled all through the years of my music, because I knew there was something more. And I always felt, did you ever feel like you have a special calling?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, I called it a special destiny, something that I was really called to do in my life and hadn't done yet. And I think the Lord was tapping on my heart all along. And when people
and emptiness was there, even with all that travel and fancy cars and buses and notoriety, there was something missing, wasn't there?
That's right. And I always thought I wanted to be a movie star, like what you do, you know. I would have sat in front of you if I would have known what a casting director was. I would have just tried my hardest to impress you so I could be a movie star and, you know, be a big star and wear all the fancy clothes. And I was trying to find my self-worth in a physical expression, you know, and in the kinds of people I would be with, or the mink coat, or the limousine, or whatever. And I had all those things. Through my marriage, we had a lot of money, and my husband provided everything, but it was still that emptiness, that nothingness that things couldn't fill in. But through the years that I worked with Whispering Bill, I got a lot of experience, and I met a lot of people, and I met a lot of Southerners who once in a while would talk about this Jesus like he was a real person and not dead on a cross 2,000 years ago, you know, and I really didn't know what Jesus had to do with anything. I figured there was a God. You kind of had to be stupid to think it all kind of rattled together. So that was my thinking. So there was God, but what did that have to do with me? I'd just try to be good, you know.
Well, now, at some point, you actually went as a missionary to Chile. Now, how did that come about, and what was that experience like?
Okay. I was saved in 1984 at Two Rivers Baptist Church. I finally got so mad and met the Lord in a very, very strange way. But
How strange? Is that a long story?
Well, yeah, I've lived a long time, but I can try to capsule it here. I went on a mission trip to Chile quite a bit after I was saved, and it was really a dream come true to be able to go out and share the gospel with people somewhere else other than in my normal habitat. But in 1984, I had come to a point in my life where I really felt old. I felt old when I was 25, but I felt like I had done everything, seen everything, talked to everybody, heard everything, been lied to, you know, but see, I was an injustice collector at that point. I was sure everybody else was raining on my parade on purpose, you know. And
I think we've all felt that way at times.
Yeah.
That's the lie of the enemy.
Oh, I know it. And I thought, I've tried to do everything I know how to do. I've tried to raise my kids on 2 cents a day, you know, and raise 3 kids. I haven't been married for 21 years, but I tried to raise my kids. And I tried to do my music career, and I really had a lot of everything, but at that point in my life, it was like the rugs kept being pulled out from under my feet. I couldn't get arrested. I just couldn't get a grip on my life, and I felt like I was losing everything, and then I ruptured a disc in my back, and that put me out of business for a while, about 8 months. And I sat feeling very sorry that my children were getting older, teenage and older, and I felt so alone, and I thought, where are you, God? And I have a tendency to stand up to things by getting angry, you know, and that helps me overcome. And it's not at people, it's at situations. I don't like being painted in a corner. So I went to church, and in my arrogance, I really looked ceilingward, and in my heart was raging at God. Show yourself or get out of my face. I don't care about your churches. I'm sick of your religions. I'm sick of hearing this is right and that's right. You know, I really had this whole monologue I was trying to give him in my heart, but it was total rage. Total rage. So I sat still long enough to hear the pastor say some things that really gripped me and wanted to make me cry, you know, and I didn't want to cry. But the Lord spoke to me, and that was a real thing. I mean, it was not he said a word to me in my heart or through somebody. He spoke to me, and he did it twice to make me know it was him. And he said, "You're going home, Susan."
Praise God.
And it was so important.
Well, now, you really are out of the secular music, but you are still you love to sing to the Lord. You use your gifts for the Lord now, and are available to sing at churches or civic groups or women's meetings. And you have agreed to sing for us today, right?
Yes.
What are you going to sing for us?
Well, I'm going to sing something that really touches me. It's one I think I've done before on the show, but it's called "I Want to Know Christ," and there are a couple songs out by that title, both of which I've sung. But this one, I think, really talks about, you know, I didn't know where love was at the time that I found the Lord. I thought love was something in an old novel that was something somebody made up. I really couldn't figure out what love really was. And when I got to know Christ, he washed this love through me that really told me I was important and I was loved. And I mean, in a way that I could not forget. Just,
wow.
You know, there is a love out there in knowing him, not going to church, not, you know, all of that is all the other stuff, but sitting and hearing his voice and knowing he really is there. You really can know him. You really can know Christ. And
It's
that's,
the most wonderful love in the world, isn't it?
yeah.
Don't you just find it fun sometimes to just look up and say, I love you, Daddy. I love you, Jesus. I mean, just to say those words and not need anything from Him, not want anything from Him,
That's right.
just to say, I love you. I just think that's the most wonderful thing in the world.
Well, and when you do, and it cuts out everything else in your life all of a sudden, and you can be unmarried for 21 years, you can be alone, you can be a lot of things, but then you don't want to be. You really want to share that with other people.
Then you overflow with His love, and you need to pour it out on people. Well, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and hear Susan Meredith sing for us. Back to today's journal. I'm Vicky Branton, sitting in for Susan Meredith, who is our guest today, and she is going to give us a song. And so here is Miss Susan Meredith.
What is love? Is there an answer to this age-old song? In a world of broken promises gone wrong, only one answer is true. That Jesus came from a paradise to this unloving place, giving up such heaven for His own disgrace. What a perfect love, a love I want to know. I want to know Christ in all His glory. I want to know Christ and share His pain, and maybe then I'll understand. To live is Christ, and to die is gain, until the sun has lost its brilliance, until the stars can shine no more. With all of my soul, the heart I want most to know. I want to know Christ. But on those days when the world is closing on everything I try to do, it's so hard to imagine how I'll make it through, and so easy to question why. But it's times like these that can be the very moment when I sense His touch, knowing He has felt the hurt I feel so much. Each emotion He knows, and that's why I can say I want to know Christ in all His glory. I want to know Christ and share His pain, and maybe then I'll understand. To live is Christ, and to die is gain, until the maybe then I'll understand. To live as Christ and to die